All right, here's a quick video talking about the DBX Driverack. We have one here. Today we're using a small amp rack today. This is a Driverack PA2. CVR D1004. Channel A and B subs, C and D are tops. Subs, tops. Everything's passive today. Here's our 8 channels of monitors, of which we're using 5. 4 across the front, 1 in the back. Some extra lights going on drums. We have a small room today, so we're not really that loud. Unfortunately, we have 1 circuit for this rack, 1 circuit for backline, but we're not really pushing a whole lot. So copper snake to the drum hi-hat position area. It's a mess. There's my bass rig. All right, let's jump into it. So we have a DBX Driverack. Here's our preset. I'll try to make this not potato. This is a preset I made. So every preset I make is based off of stereo tri-amp. And the reason for that is subs are always A and B, mid or high is always C and D. In a 3-way system, I want as much power to my mid drivers as I can. And then in a 3-way system, there'll be another amplifier, smaller, much smaller, driving horns. But today, we're biamp only, but I want to use the mid outputs to drive the mid-high boxes. And typically, DBX, when you set it up stereo biamp, not triamp, stereo biamp, it will use the low and high. I want to use low and mid outputs. Let's go to the back. It's a little tight. I don't know if you can see it in there. Essentially, it's hard to see. Those are our high outputs that are not being used. Camera's not going to focus real well. Let's try again. High outputs, mid, low, and input. And I got a little 4-channel snake that drives. So there's our 4 inputs to the amplifier. The outputs are 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. A and B are sub. C and D are mid-high, and they're wired to the mid outputs, not the high, the mid outputs of the DBX, because all presets I use are stereo tri-amp with the highs turned off. There's our Ethernet cable. We got a router in here somewhere, but essentially this is data for the mixer. This is data for our drive rack. Here's our drive rack. All right, data for the mixer. So let's go through this. All right, let's get out of this app. I'm gonna go to DBX. Instantly, it finds it. Now you can see a reflection of me, nice. So miscellaneous drive rack is what I have it named. I'm gonna connect. This is your page is gonna take you to. So we're stereo tri-amp. Compressor is not set very high. In fact, it's set so high that it's not doing anything. Hopefully this is better light. So here's your home page. Here's our crossover. You'll see low and mid. Here's high all the way down here. And we're not using high. And the reason, like I said, is I can use the same outputs for low and mid to drive a stereo biamp situation, and I get the most power using the mid amplifier, not the high amplifier. Okay, so you can't adjust anything here until you unlock. Now it says here, do you want to unlock? Sure, why not? You can do serious damage to your system if you are using this, adjusting things live. By lowering crossover points, changing gain. Anyway, you'll see here that high, mid is gain is at 0.1. I want my mid always at 0-ish. Low pass all the way out, high pass 100 hertz. Go to low, 3 dB up. And we are at 90 hertz crossover point. So there you go. All right, then. So these are the presets that are stored on this particular drive rack. And if you want to, so here's all the different presets. I have everything up to, this is EX3 with mono. Everything past here is factory preset. And there's quite a few, so you got a lot of room. So what you're gonna do is you have a preset you're using, you're gonna arrow key it over here and it will store itself on this side. And then if you want to move it, this is device memory. If you want to move it from device memory back, say if you have something in here you want to load to the drive rack, you can move it over. And that's how it's done. There's a store, recall, and rename, copy, and delete. So a couple of other functions of note. The auto EQ, if you do use auto EQ, it will show up here. You have a graphic EQ, don't use graphic EQs, please. Feedback, subharmonic not used, input delay not used, crossover, parametric EQ per band output. So the mid band is this output going on. Then we have a limiter. I have these set rather high. Yeah, set rather high. And then you've got alignment delay. So I find if I'm doing a mono sub with a sub in the center, I'll delay the tops however many feet. But today we're not doing that. Okay, also inside the app, there's a wizard function. This is great for setup wizard for setting up a new preset. It'll walk you through what you're using. You'll find a lot of speakers and amps are not listed. Yeah. Also, if you need help, there's a help thing. You can rename, check for updates, rename your drive rack. Here's your IP address of your drive rack. Sorry, this is so hard to see. And then your home gets you there. Right here, you've got your input and output meters, and you can mute right from the app.